Hi, hello. Happy evening to all of you. Today, in this session, I will take you through the very important topic in economics for all the competitive examinations, especially the UPSC civil service examinations, both prelims and the mains. So, dear friends, let's begin the topic. Before begins the topic, I request all of you first go through the first video on Basel norms. So in that we had a deep discussion on the introductory aspects of the Basel norms. Okay. So today in this session I have taken up the topic for the discussion is Basel 1. Right? Okay. Yeah. So dear friends, Basel norms. Before understanding the meaning of the Basel norms, so let me give some introductory aspects of the Basel norms. In the year 1930, Bank for International Settlement has been established at Basel in Switzerland, right? Okay. During the year 1930, Bank for International Settlement established at Basel, a city in Switzerland. Okay. Yeah. During the year 1974, there is a committee called BCBS, Basel Committee on Banking Supervision. It has been constituted by 60 member countries. Okay, 60 member countries. Put together, the central banks of 60 member countries are the members in the BCBS. Okay, BCBS is a committee, Basel Committee on Banking Supervision. Okay, so basically this particular committee has been constituted, which comes under the BIS. It has brought several banking regulations. Okay, it has brought certain banking regulations. So they are called Basel norms, Basel Accord, or the Basel guidelines. So these Basel guidelines, which are the international banking regulations, which are issued by the BCBS to address the financial risks of the banking system across the globe. Clear? Okay. Yeah. BCBS has brought several norms or the guidelines or accord or guidelines which are international banking regulations which are issued by the BCBS to address the financial risks of the banking system across the globe. So due to the banking failure in Germany and US, the BCBS committee has been constituted to suggest some recommendations. Okay, so the banking risks, how the banking risk could able to tackle. So that is why the BCBS has come out with certain norms which are international banking regulations, okay, to address the financial risks of the banking system across the globe. Till now, till date, 3 Basel norms which have been released by BCBS. Collectively, these 3 Basel norms, which we consider as Basel Accords, Basel 1, Basel 2, and Basel 3. Is that clear? Okay. ಸ್ನೇಹಿತರೆ, 1930ರಲ್ಲಿ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಫಾರ್ ಇಂಟರ್ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಸೆಟಲ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಒಂದು ಬ್ಯಾಂಕಿಂಗ್ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆ ಹುಟ್ಟು ಹಾಕಲಾಗ್ತದೆ. ಎಲ್ಲಿ? ಬೇಸಲ್ ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಒಂದು ಸಿಟಿ, ಅದಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು ಸ್ವಿಟ್ಜರ್ಲೆಂಡ್. ಓಕೆ, ಬ್ಯಾಂಕಿಂಗ್ ಬೇಸಲ್, that is what we call BIS. Okay, Bank for International Settlement. This 1913 ನಲ್ಲಿ ಇದು ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. It has been established. Clear? So again in the year 1974, due to the banking failures at Germany and US, under the BIS, 60 member countries constitute BCBS. Okay, Basel Committee on Banking Supervision. It is a committee which comes under the BIS, established in the year 1974. Okay, ಈ ಪರ್ಟಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಬೇಸಲ್ ಕಮಿಟಿ ಆನ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕಿಂಗ್ ಸೂಪರ್ವಿಷನ್ ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಒಂದು ಕಮಿಟಿ ಏನಿದೆ 1974 ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಎಸ್ಟಾಬ್ಲಿಷ್ ಆಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಒಂದು ಕಮಿಟಿ, ಅದು ಒಂದು ಅಂತಾರಾಷ್ಟ್ರೀಯ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕಿಂಗ್ ಮೇಲ್ವಿಚಾರಣೆಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಬ್ಯಾಂಕಿಂಗ್ ಮಾನದಂಡಗಳು ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಒಂದು ನಾರ್ಮ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನು ರಿಲೀಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತದೆ. ಬೇಸಲ್ ಮಾನದಂಡಗಳು ಅಥವಾ ಬೇಸಲ್ ನಾರ್ಮ್ಸ್ ಅಂತಾರಾಷ್ಟ್ರೀಯ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕಿಂಗ್ ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆಯನ್ನು ಬಲಪಡಿಸುವ ಒಂದು ಗುರಿಯನ್ನು ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಜಗತ್ತಿನಾದ್ಯಂತ ಒಂದು ಬ್ಯಾಂಕಿಂಗ್ ನಿಯಮಾವಳಿಗಳನ್ನು ಸಂಘಟಿಸ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಕೆಲಸ ಶುರುವಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಯಾವುದ್ರ ಕಡೆಯಿಂದ? BCBS ಕಡೆಯಿಂದ. ಓಕೆ, ಈ BCBS ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು ಬ್ಯಾಂಕಿಂಗ್ ಮೇಲ್ವಿಚಾರಣೆಯ ಬೇಸಲ್ ಸಮಿತಿ ಒಪ್ಪಂದದ ಒಂದು ಗುಂಪಾಗಿದೆ. ಇದೇನ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತಂದ್ರೆ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕುಗಳು ಮತ್ತು ಹಣಕಾಸಿನ ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆಯ ಅಪಾಯಗಳಿಗೆ ಓಕೆ ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ನಿಯಮಗಳನ್ನು ರೂಪಿಸ್ತದೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಆ ಎಲ್ಲ ನಿಯಮಗಳನ್ನು ನಾವು ಒನ್ ಬೈ ಒನ್ ಆ ನಿಯಮಗಳನ್ನು ಅನುಷ್ಠಾನಕ್ಕೆ ತರ್ತದೆ. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಬೇಸಲ್ 1, ಬೇಸಲ್ 2 ಅಂಡ್ ಬೇಸಲ್ 3 ಅಂತ. ಓಕೆ, ಈ ಮೂರು ನಾವು ಒಟ್ಟಾಗಿ ಬೇಸಲ್ ನಾರ್ಮ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಬೇಸಲ್ ಗೈಡ್ಲೈನ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಈಸ್ ದಟ್ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್? Let's move on to another important topic for the discussion, which comes under the Basel norms. Clear? Okay. So before going to understand these Basel norms, we need to understand the basic concepts of banking system, how the bank works. Okay, let's take an example called the commercial bank. So here capital of the bank. Okay, banking capital has two types. One is tier 1 capital and tier 2 capital. Okay, that is one capital of the bank. So we have another capital system in the banking system we have, that is we call it as deposits. Okay, deposits. People used to deposit their money in the bank in 3 accounts. One is savings bank account, fixed deposit account and current account. So these are the 3 accounts through which the public or businessmen or any other companies which are opening their bank account, right? So usually savings bank account will be opened in a bank by the general public. Usually salaried people who are going to open a bank account called SB account. Anybody who wants to deposit their money, okay, to get more interest, okay, so in order to save their money, so they will be opening the FD account, fixed deposit account. The fixed deposit account holder will be getting the more interest by a bank. SP account holders are getting nominal interest on the money existed in their account. Usually the current account holders will not get any interest by the banker, right? So usually the current account will be opened by the businessman. Okay, huge transaction is happening. Okay, there is no restrictions for the deposit of the money and withdrawal of the money. So that is why just it's an account. It is a nominal interest is also not given. Okay. Number two. Now the question arises: what the banks will do with the public money? Right? What the banker will do with the public money? So the public money will be collected in the form of different accounts, the deposits from the public. The question is what the banker will do with the public money. Okay. So basically what is bank? Bank is a financial institution which accepts the deposits and gives the loans and advances. Is that clear? Okay. So now we come across the tier 1 capital. It is known as core capital, right? It is known as core capital or paid up capital. Paid up capital. It is also known as equity capital, right? Equity capital. So it is also known as, it is a owner's capital. When a bank is opened, okay, the people who have put their money to open a bank, to establish a bank, okay, that particular capital which is known as tier 1 capital, which is more secured money. Clear? And what is this tier 2 capital? Tier 2 capital is borrowed capital, right? Tier 2 capital is borrowed capital. Borrowed capital. Okay. The banker can issue certain bonds, thereby they can raise the fund from the public, right? So these borrowed capital, it is an obligation of the banker to repay the money which has been raised by issuing the bonds, right? Even the deposits is also comes under liability of the bank. Okay, liability of the bank. Yeah. Then the question arises: what the banker will do with the public money? Right? Okay. There are certain regulatory norms. There are certain regulatory norms. There are certain regulatory norms by a central bank. Okay. Those norms must be complied by a banker. So like CRR, right? CRR, SLR, statutory liquidity ratio. What does it mean? Statutory liquidity ratio. Each and every commercial banks in the country, so they have to maintain some certain percentage of cash on their hand always as per the norms of the RBI. Clear? That is what we call it as statutory liquidity ratio. What percentage of cash in each and every commercial bank has to maintain in the form of liquid cash? Clear? So that is a percentage is decided by the RBI. Okay, it may be 5 percentage, okay, or 6 percentage, like that. Clear? Okay. What is CRR? As per the regulations of the Reserve Bank of India, each and every commercial banks in the country, they have to maintain certain percentage of their cash with the central bank. Say for example, 14 percentage, right? 14 percentage. Yeah? Okay. Suppose bank has collected 100 crores in the form of deposits. How much? Bank has collected 100 crores from the depositors. 100 crores money has been collected. Out of this 100 crores, 5 percentage is 5 percentage of 100 percentage is 100 crores is 5 crores, right? 5 crores, and 14 percentage of 100 crores is 14 crores. 14 crores, right? So these two put together, it comes 19 crores. So this is the 19 crores the banking or the banker has to oblige. The banker has to comply these two norms. These are called regulatory norms, which are issued time to time by the RBI. Okay. So out of 100 crores, 19 percentage is regulatory norms. One is SLR and another one is CRR. Okay. Statutory liquidity ratio is 5 crores and capital reserve ratio with RBI, that is 14 crores. 19 crores. Okay. 100 minus 19. Okay. It is 71. Is that clear? 71. 79. Right. 79 crores. 79 crores. Are you fine? Okay. What the banker will do? 79 crores of money. 79 crores. Yeah. Okay. So now, okay, not 79, it's 81, right? It's 81. $81 crores. Okay. 81 crores of cash that can be invested. Okay. The bank can give this 81 crores loans to the people. Loans. Or the banker will do some investment. Okay. Yeah. Suppose the banker has given the loans to the business. Banker has given the loans to the housing loan. Banker has given the loans for industrial purpose, working capital requirement for the business. It may be 60 crores. 60 crores loan has been given by the bank to the public. So remaining 21 crore, it is being invested by the banker on safe securities, right? Safe securities. safe securities. That means 21 crores of cash, it is being invested by the banker in government securities. Okay, reputed company bonds, shares, debentures, etc. Okay, 21 crores investment is made, and 81 crores, 60 crores loans are given to the public. These loans we call it as, it is an asset for the bank. Understand? Assets, loans, banks loans or assets for the banker. Are you following? Yeah. So whenever the banker has given the loan of 60 crores loans extended to the public by a banker, which we call it as assets for the banker, because this particular 60 crores which earns the interest, which earns the profit for the bank. Is it clear? Okay, let's move on. So basically, key concentration here, loans or assets for the bank. Loans or assets for the bank. So this is the basic understanding of how the bank will work. Clear? Yeah. So now let's move on to the Basel 1. As I told you, there are 3 Basel norms which have been issued by the BCBS. Basel 1, Basel 2 and Basel 3. Let me explain this particular the thing in Kannada also. Yeah. Okay. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಬೇಸಿಕ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನು ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಣ. ಈಗ ಒಂದು ಕಮರ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಅನ್ನು ತೆಗೆದುಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಕಮರ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕಿಗೆ ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ ಅಂತ ಏನಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಆ ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ ಅನ್ನು ನಾವು ಟಿಯರ್ 1 ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ ಮತ್ತು ಟಿಯರ್ 2 ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ವಾಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಟಿಯರ್ 1 ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್? ಟಿಯರ್ 1 ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಸ್ಥಾಪನೆ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಯಾರೆಲ್ಲ ಈಕ್ವಿಟಿ ಶೇರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂಡವಾಳ ಹಾಕಿರ್ತಾರೆ ಟು ಎಸ್ಟಾಬ್ಲಿಷ್ ದ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್. Right? Say for example, 2 crores is invested and started a bank. This particular 2 crores is considered as equity capital, which comes under tier 1 capital. It is more secure capital. Next, tier 2 capital. Bank ನವರು ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಸಾಲ ಪತ್ರಗಳನ್ನು ವಿತರಿಸುವ ಮೂಲಕವಾಗಿ, ಓಕೆ, ಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ಸ್ ಕಡೆಯಿಂದ, ಕಂಪನಿಗಳ ಕಡೆಯಿಂದ, ಓಕೆ, ಬೇರೆ ಒಂದು ಬ್ಯಾಂಕಿನ ಕಡೆಯಿಂದ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಹಣವನ್ನು ಎತ್ತುತ್ತಾರೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ದೇ ಆರ್ ಇಶ್ಯೂಯಿಂಗ್ ಡೆಟ್ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರೂಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಬಾಂಡ್ಸ್. ಬಾಂಡ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನು ಇಶ್ಯೂ ಮಾಡೋದ್ರ ಮುಖಾಂತರವಾಗಿ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಹಣವನ್ನು ಸಂಗ್ರಹ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. ದಟ್ ಪರ್ಟಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ ವಿಚ್ ವಿ ಕಾಲ್ ಇಟ್ ಆಸ್ tier 2 capital. Is that clear? Okay. Now deposit ಬರೋಣ. ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ನಿಂತಿರೋದೇ ಡೆಪಾಸಿಟ್ ಮೇಲೆ, ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ವರ್ಕ್ಸ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇರೋದೇ ಡೆಪಾಸಿಟ್ ಮೇಲೆ. ಯಾವುದು ಡೆಪಾಸಿಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲದಲೇ ಇದ್ರೆ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ಸ್ಗಳು ರನ್ ಆಗಲ್ಲ. ಎಲ್ಲಾ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ಗಳು ಅವರು ಪ್ರಾಫಿಟ್ ಅರ್ನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಎಲ್ಲಾ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ಗಳನ್ನು ನಾವು ಪ್ರಾಫಿಟ್ ಮೇಕಿಂಗ್ ಫಿನಾನ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಷನ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. Though the public sector banks ಸಮೇತವಾಗಿ ಅವರು ಪ್ರಾಫಿಟ್ ಮೇಕಿಂಗ್ ಫಿನಾನ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಸೊ ದೇ ಡೀಲ್ ವಿತ್ ದ ಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಮನಿ. ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್? ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಡೆಪಾಸಿಟ್ಸ್. ಓಕೆ, SB ಅಕೌಂಟ್, ಫಿಕ್ಸ್ಡ್ ಡೆಪಾಸಿಟ್ ಅಕೌಂಟ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಕರೆಂಟ್ ಅಕೌಂಟ್. ದೀಸ್ ಆರ್ ದ 3 ಅಕೌಂಟ್ಸ್. ಈ 3 ಅಕೌಂಟ್ಗಳ ಓಪನ್ ಮಾಡೋ ಮುಖಾಂತರವಾಗಿ ಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ಸ್ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ತಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಹಣವನ್ನು ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಠೇವಣಿ ರೂಪದಲ್ಲಿ ಇಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಯಾವಾಗ ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೂ ವಾಪಸ್ ತೆಗೆದುಕೊಳ್ಬಹುದು. ಓಕೆ, SB ಅಕೌಂಟ್ ಯಾರು ಓಪನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ? ಸೊ ಸೇವಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಅಕೌಂಟ್ ಅನ್ನ ಏಜ್ಡ್ ಪೀಪಲ್, ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಇವನ್ ದ ಸ್ಯಾಲರಿಡ್ ಪೀಪಲ್. ಓಕೆ, ದ ಪೀಪಲ್ ಹೂ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಫಿಕ್ಸ್ಡ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್, ಮಂತ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಏನ್ ಬರ್ತದೆ ಅಂತ ಎಲ್ಲಾ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿಗಳು ಒಂದಲ್ಲ ಒಂದು ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಸೇವಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಅಕೌಂಟ್ ಅನ್ನು ಓಪನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಯಾವುದೇ ಜನರಲ್ ಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ತನ್ನ ಹಣ ಗಳಿಸಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋ ಉದ್ದೇಶದಿಂದ ಅವ್ರು ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ತಮ್ಮ ಹಣವನ್ನು ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಎಫ್ ಡಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಫಿಕ್ಸ್ ಡೆಪಾಸಿಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಅವರಿಗೆ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ನವರು ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಲೋನ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಎಸ್ ಬಿ ಅಕೌಂಟ್ ಹೋಲ್ಡರ್ಗೆ ನಾಮಿನಲ್ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಗಿವನ್. ಓಕೆ, ಅಂಡ್ ಕರೆಂಟ್ ಅಕೌಂಟ್ ಹೋಲ್ಡರ್ಸ್ ಅವ್ರೇನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಬಿಸಿನೆಸ್ ಪೀಪಲ್ ಆಗಿರ್ತಾರೆ, ಬಿಸಿನೆಸ್ ಮ್ಯಾಗ್ನೆಟ್ ಆಗಿರ್ತಾರೆ. ಅವರು ಹ್ಯೂಜ್ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸಾಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಬೆಳಿಗ್ಗೆ 10 ಕೋಟಿ ಡೆಪಾಸಿಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, 10:35 4 ಕೋಟಿ ವಾಪಸ್ ತಗೊಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಯಾವುದೇ ರಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಇರಲ್ಲ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ. ಎಷ್ಟು ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೂ ಹಣವನ್ನು ಡೆಪಾಸಿಟ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು, ಎಷ್ಟು ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೂ ಹಣವನ್ನು ಇಂಟರ್ನೆಟ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕಿಂಗ್ ಮುಖಾಂತರವಾಗಿ ಅವರು ವಾಪಸ್ ತೆಗೆದುಕೊಳ್ಳಬಹುದು. ಹ್ಯೂಜ್ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಈಸ್ ಹ್ಯಾಪನಿಂಗ್, ಥೌಸಂಡ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಕ್ರೋರ್ಸ್ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಈಸ್ ಹ್ಯಾಪನಿಂಗ್ ಇಯರ್. ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಅಂಡರ್ ದಿ ಕರೆಂಟ್ ಅಕೌಂಟ್. ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್? ಒಂದು ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಉದ್ಭವ ಆಗ್ತದೆ, ಏನಪ್ಪಾ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಈ ಎಲ್ಲ ಡೆಪಾಸಿಟ್ಗಳ ಮುಖಾಂತರವಾಗಿ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ನವರು ಹಣವನ್ನು ಸಂಗ್ರಹ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಆ ಸಂಗ್ರಹ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಹಣವನ್ನು ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ನವರು ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ? ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಅರೈಸ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಆರ್ ಬಿ ಐ ನಾರ್ಮ್ಸ್ ಪ್ರಕಾರವಾಗಿ ಓಕೆ, SLR ಅಂದ್ರೆ certain percentage of cash they have to maintain on hand to meet the day-to-day expenses. Day-to-day expenses ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? ಸ್ಯಾಲರಿ ಕೊಡಕ್ಕಾಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಅಥವಾ ಈ ಡೆಪಾಸಿಟ್ ಹೋಲ್ಡರ್ಸ್ ಯಾವಾಗ ಬಂದು ಹಣವನ್ನು ವಾಪಸ್ ತೆಗೆದುಕೊಳ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. ಓಕೆ, ಅವರು ಯಾವಾಗ ಬಂದು ಹಣವನ್ನು ಏನಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ, ಕ್ರೆಡಿಟ್ ಕಾರ್ಡ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಡೆಬಿಟ್ ಕಾರ್ಡ್ಸ್ ಮುಖಾಂತರವಾಗಿ ಹಣವನ್ನು ವಾಪಸ್ ತೆಗೆದುಕೊಳ್ತಾರೆ ಅವರ ಅಕೌಂಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಟು ಹಾನರ್ ದ ಚೆಕ್ ಇಫ್ ಎ ಕಸ್ಟಮರ್ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ದ ಚೆಕ್ ಫಾರ್ ವಿತ್ಡ್ರಾಯಲ್. ಓಕೆ, ಚೆಕ್ 10 ಕೋಟಿ ಚೆಕ್ ಕೊಟ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು 10 ಕೋಟಿ ಹಣವನ್ನು ವಿತ್ಡ್ರಾ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ನವರು ಅವನಿಗೆ ಆ ಚೆಕ್ ನ ಹಾನರ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಈ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಾರಣಗಳಿಂದ, ಡೇ ಟು ಡೇ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆನ್ಸಸ್ ಕಾರಣದಿಂದ ಅವರು ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ನವರು ಒಂದು 5% ಅಷ್ಟು ಒಂದು ಲಿಕ್ವಿಡ್ ಕ್ಯಾಶ್ ಅನ್ನು ಯಾವಾಗಲೂ ತನ್ನ ಕೈಯಲ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ಕೋಬೇಕು. ಇಸ್ ದಟ್ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್? ಓಕೆ, ಇನ್ನೊಂದು CRR, ಕ್ಯಾಶ್ ರಿಸರ್ವ್ ರೇಷಿಯೋ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಸರ್ಟನ್ ಪರ್ಸೆಂಟೇಜ್ ಆಫ್ ಕ್ಯಾಶ್ ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಂದು ಕಮರ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ಸ್ ರಿಸರ್ವ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಡೆಪಾಸಿಟ್ ಆಗಿಡಬೇಕು. ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಎ ನಾರ್ಮ್. ಓಕೆ, ಸೇ ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ 14 crores ಔಟ್ ಆಫ್ 100. ಓಕೆ, 100 crores ಡೆಪಾಸಿಟ್ ಮುಖಾಂತರವಾಗಿ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ನವರು ಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದರೆ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ 5 crores ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಚ್ಯುಟರಿ ಲಿಕ್ವಿಡಿಟಿ ರೇಷಿಯೋ, 14 crores CRR. ರಿಮೈನಿಂಗ್ ಎಷ್ಟಿದೆ? ರಿಮೈನಿಂಗ್ 81 crores ಉಳಿಯುತ್ತೆ. ಆ 81 crores ಅನ್ನು ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ನವರು ಲೋನ್ಸ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ ಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ಸ್ಗೆ. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಭಾಗವನ್ನು ಅವರು ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಯಾವುದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ? ಸೇಫ್ ಸೆಕ್ಯೂರಿಟೀಸ್ ಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ದೇ ಆರ್ ಡೀಲಿಂಗ್ ವಿತ್ ದ ಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಮನಿ. ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ರೀಸನ್. ಇಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್? ಓಕೆ, ಲೆಟ್ಸ್ ಮೂವ್ ಆನ್ ಟು ದಿ Basel 1. Basel 1. Okay. The Basel 1 norms, which have been released by BCBS in the year 1988. Okay. The Basel norms 1. The Basel 1 norms, which were released by BCBS in the year 1988. Okay. So this particular Basel 1, it has introduced a capital measurement system. There is a system has been introduced by the BCBS in the form of Basel 1, which we call it as a capital measurement system. It is also called as Basel Capital Accord. Basel Capital Accord. Right? That is one concept, one important, the thing you have to remember. Okay. So when did Basel I release? In the year 1988. Capital measurement system has been introduced by BCBS. BCBS has given the recommendation for the introduction of the capital measurement system across the banking, right? So that we call it as Basel Capital Accord. Okay. So this Basel I, which is mainly focused on credit risk. Credit risk. Clear? Okay. So let me refer the previous slide here. As I mentioned, the bank has given the 60 crores loans to the public. These loans, as I told you, these loans for the bankers, which are assets for the banker. Is it clear? Okay. The banker, do you think the banker expects the people who have taken the loans from the banker, do the bankers expect, are they paying the principal and interest on time? No guarantee. Okay. So these are the assets for the banker. But there is a credit risk. What is credit risk? There is a chances of defaults. Okay. Education loan is given. Education loan. Housing loan is given. Personal loan is given. Loans are given against the collaterals. Right. So these are the different types of loans which are issued by the bank. Okay. Take for example, education loan, housing loan, okay, and personal loan. Sorry. So these are the different types of loans are extended by the banker to the public. So there is a risk. If the banker extends the loan against the collateral, say for example gold loan, it is a collateral loan, it is secured loan. Say for example the real estate, the loan against the real estate, housing loan, it is also called as secured loan. Secured loan. That means real estate documents are collected and extend the loan. Okay, in case there is a borrower's default, the banker can dispose the house or asset, real estate, and the money can be recovered. So that is why the gold loan extended by the banker is a secured loan, and the loans given against the collateral, like real estate documents, right? Housing loan, it is also considered as a secured loan. Which are unsecured loan? Education loan is unsecured loan. Personal loan is unsecured loan. Loan is given to the farmers. Loan is given to the farmers. Okay, crop loan. It is a unsecured loan. Okay. Whenever the banker is given the loan against any securities, those loans are called as secured loan. The banker extends the loans without accepting any collateral. Those loans we consider as an unsecured loan. So this is the defaulters' chances of incurring loss by the bank in case there is a default by the borrowers. So that is the main focus area of the Basel I. What the banker has to do? Okay. So in order to withstand against these credit risks, Basel 1 guidelines are given. Basel 1 guidelines are given, right? What is the capital measurement system? Basel Capital Accord. Basel Capital Accord. This particular capital we call it as Tier 1 capital, right? Tier 1 capital. You know very well. What is Tier 1 capital? Tier 1 capital is nothing but equity shares, equity capital. Clear? So, Basel Capital Accord. You know, what is credit risk? As I told you, credit risk is the possibility of a loss for a banker resulting from a borrower's failure to make the payment with interest. Principal plus interest is not paid on time. Then the banker is exposed with several risks. What is that particular risk? That is, we call it as credit risk. Okay, in order to withstand against these risks, certain guidelines are given by the Basel 1, which we call it as Basel 1 Accord. Okay. So this particular Tier 1 capital, the banker has to maintain as a reserve in order to face if the banker has certain problems like credit risk. If some out of 60 crores, some 30 crores money is given against securities. Remaining 30 crores money is given without accepting any securities. There is a chances of incurring loss by the banker if there is a borrower's default to make the payment, principal and as well as interest. Clear? So, in order to face these challenges by a banker, certain guidelines are issued by the Basel 1. Okay. So, what is the percentage of cash capital reserve the bank has to maintain according to Basel 1? It is at 8%. It is at 8% against the risk weighted assets. How much? 8% capital, 8% capital reserve. Each and every commercial banks have to maintain with them whenever they have risk weighted assets. What are risk weighted assets? Risk weighted assets is nothing but the assets with different risk profiles. I told you, no? So these education loan, the personal loan, the loans are given the farmers crop loans. So these are risk profile loans. Clear? Risk weighted assets are nothing but assets with different risk profiles. Say for example, a real estate loan has given against the collateral securities. Banker will be having the low risk. Clear? And personal loan, it is banker exposed with more risk because there is a chances of incurring loss. 8% minimum capital reserve, especially the Tier 1 capital, the banker has to maintain with them against risk weighted assets. Okay. So how do we calculate this particular risk weighted assets? How do we calculate this 8% that is called reserve, capital reserve? Okay, everything can be discussed in a separate video, so that there I will make you to understand clearly about the risk weighted assets. Okay, risk weighted assets, simply we understand now assets with different risk profiles. Okay, so against such risks, against such challenges, the bank has to maintain the minimum capital ratio, that is called as minimum capital requirement, 8%. But RBI, Reserve Bank of India, has issued the guidelines to all the commercial banks, let it be for 9% as far as India is concerned. So during the year 1999, complete these Basel I guidelines which were accepted. Okay, accordingly, the Reserve Bank of India has given the guidelines to all the commercial banks to maintain not 8% as prescribed by the BCBS, but it is a 9% in order to make a safer gain. The Reserve Bank of India has fixed minimum capital requirements. Okay, the percentage of cash, the percentage of capital the banker has to maintain against the risk weighted assets, it must be 9% as far as India is concerned. Is that clear? Okay. ಸ್ನೇಹಿತರೆ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ 1988ರಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂಡವಾಳ ಮಾಪನ ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆಯನ್ನು ಪರಿಚಯಿಸುತ್ತದೆ. ಯಾವುದು? BCBS, ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್. Okay, so what we call it as minimum capital requirements. Minimum capital requirement ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಬಂಡವಾಳ ಮಾಪನ ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆಯನ್ನು ಪರಿಚಯಿಸುತ್ತೆ. ಇದರ ಮುಖಾಂತರವಾಗಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಮರ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕುಗಳು ಅಂದ್ರೆ BCBS ಅಂಡರ್ಲಿ ಬರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕೇಂದ್ರೀಯ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕುಗಳು, ಸೊ ಅವರು ಈ ಕ್ರೆಡಿಟ್ ರಿಸ್ಕ್, ಸಾಲಗಾರರ ಇಂದ ಉದ್ಭವ ಆಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಒಂದು ಡಿಫಾಲ್ಟ್ ಏನಿದೆ ಅದನ್ನು ಎದುರಿಸುವ ಸಲುವಾಗಿ ಎಲ್ಲಾ ಕಮರ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ಸ್ಗಳು ಒಂದು ಬಂಡವಾಳ ಮಾಪನ ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆಯನ್ನು ತಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ಕೋಬೇಕು, ಅಳವಡಿಸ್ಕೋಬೇಕು. ಏನಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ? ಮುಖ್ಯವಾಗಿ ಕ್ರೆಡಿಟ್ ರಿಸ್ಕ್ ಏನ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ನವ್ರಿಗೆ. ಕ್ರೆಡಿಟ್ ರಿಸ್ಕ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ನವರು ಲೋನ್ಸ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಆ ಲೋನ್ಸ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ನವ್ರಿಗೆ ಅಸೆಟ್. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ದ ಡಿಫರೆಂಟ್ ರಿಸ್ಕ್ ಪ್ರೊಫೈಲ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ. ಏನೇನು? ಎಜುಕೇಶನ್ ಲೋನ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಹೌಸಿಂಗ್ ಲೋನ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಪರ್ಸನಲ್ ಲೋನ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಓಕೆ, ಕ್ರಾಪ್ ಲೋನ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಈ ಎಲ್ಲ ಲೋನುಗಳು 100% ವಾಪಸ್ ಬರ್ತವೆ ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಗ್ಯಾರಂಟಿ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಸೇ ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಪರ್ಸನಲ್ ಲೋನ್ ಈಸ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟೆಂಡೆಡ್ ವಿತೌಟ್ ಅಕ್ಸೆಪ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಎನಿ ಕೊಲಾಟರಲ್. ಓಕೆ, ಆಸ್ತಿಯ ಪತ್ರಗಳನ್ನು ಅಡಮಾನ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಸಾಲ ಕೊಟ್ರೆ ಅದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಹೌಸಿಂಗ್ ಲೋನ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಓಕೆ, ಹೌಸಿಂಗ್ ಡಾಕ್ಯುಮೆಂಟ್, ರಿಯಲ್ ಎಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಡಾಕ್ಯುಮೆಂಟ್ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಸಾಲ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ, 10 crores 5 crores whatever it is. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ಸೆಕ್ಯೂರ್ಡ್ ಲೋನ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಅನ್ಸೆಕ್ಯೂರ್ಡ್ ಲೋನ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಎಜುಕೇಶನ್ ಲೋನ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಕ್ರಾಪ್ ಲೋನ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಪರ್ಸನಲ್ ಲೋನ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ನಾವು ಅನ್ಸೆಕ್ಯೂರ್ಡ್ ಲೋನ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೇವೆ. ಇವುಗಳನ್ನು ಎದುರಿಸುವ ಸಲುವಾಗಿ, ಇಂಥ ರಿಸ್ಕ್ ಗಳನ್ನು ಎದುರಿಸುವ ಸಲುವಾಗಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕೇಂದ್ರೀಯ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ಗಳಿಗೆ BCBS ಒಂದು ಸೂಚನೆಯನ್ನು ಕೊಡ್ತದೆ. ಎಲ್ಲ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ಗಳು, ಎಲ್ಲ ನಿಮ್ಮ ದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ಇರತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಕಮರ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ಗಳಿಗೆ ಹೇಳಿ 8% ಅನ್ನ ಒಂದು ಮಿನಿಮಮ್ ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ ರಿಸರ್ವ್ ಅನ್ನು ಮೇಂಟೈನ್ ಮಾಡಲಿ. ಏನಿದು 8% ಮಿನಿಮಮ್ ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ ರಿಸರ್ವ್? ಇದು Tier 1 ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್. Tier 1 ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ ಮಸ್ಟ್ ಬಿ 8%. 8% of risk weighted assets. Is that clear? Okay. Suppose risk weighted assets 20 crores ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ಇಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಣ. 20 crores ಅಂತ ಇದೆ ಇಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಣ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ 8% ಆಫ್ ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ ಅನ್ನು ನಾವು ರಿಸರ್ವ್ ಆಗಿ ಇಟ್ಕೋಬೇಕು. ಅಂದ್ರೆ 20 ಕೋಟಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು 8 ಕೋಟಿ ಅಥವಾ 5 ಕೋಟಿ ಲೋನು ವಾಪಸ್ ಬರಲ್ಲ. ಆಗ ಈ ಒಂದು 8% ಇಂದ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ಗಳು ಸರ್ವೈವ್ ಆಗ್ತವೆ. ಯಾವ್ದ್ರಿಂದ? ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ರಪ್ಸಿಯಿಂದ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ಗಳು ದಿವಾಳಿ ಆಗೋದು ತಪ್ಪುತ್ತೆ. ದೇ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಸಸ್ಟೈನ್ ಫಾರ್ ದ ಲಾಂಗರ್ ಡ್ಯೂರೇಷನ್. ಓಕೆ ಓಕೆ ಸೊ ದೇ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ವಿತ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್. ಅದರ ಫಲ ಅದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರನೇ 8% BCBS ಒಂದು ಸೂಚನೆಯನ್ನು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಮರ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ಗಳಿಗೆ. ಅದರಂತೆ ನಮ್ಮ ದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ಬರತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಸೆಂಟ್ರಲ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಏನಿದೆ RBI, ಅವರು ನಾವು 8% ಅಲ್ಲ, ನಾವು 9% ಇಟ್ಕೊಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಸೇಫ್ ಫಾರ್ ಗೇಮ್. ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಮರ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ಗಳಿಗೆ ಒಂದು ನಿರ್ದೇಶನವನ್ನು ಕೊಟ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಲೆಟ್ ಅಸ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಮಿನಿಮಮ್ ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ ರಿಕ್ವೈರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಈಸ್ 9% ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ರಿಸರ್ವ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಆಫ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾನವರು ಈ ಎಲ್ಲ ಬೇಸಲ್ 1 ಗೈಡ್ಲೈನ್ಸ್ ಏನಿದೆ ಅವುಗಳನ್ನು ಪೂರಾ 1999 ಒಪ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಇಸ್ ದಟ್ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್? ಓಕೆ. So thank you for listening. In the next video, so we are going to discuss some other topics supporting to this the particular Basel 1, right? Thank you very much. Have a good day.